Here at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, we have all hands on deck as we work to study and collect data on coral reefs around the world. We study coral reefs in a lot of different ways. We can study them from far away through things like satellite imagery, or we can be up close and personal and take samples and measurements of the reefs and surrounding water to understand their condition. But NOAA is also using a new technology that helps scientists look at how coral reefs are changing over time in the face of rising sea temperatures. Our divers have been swimming in patterns that allow them to capture photographs from every angle of the reefs they are studying. These photographs can then be turned into 3D digital maps that scientists can compare without needing to be underwater. Turning these 2D images into 3D models is called structure from motion photogrammetry. Many reefs have been photographed over time to help us understand how coral reefs are changing. Today we will look at Olowalu Reef in western Maui, which experienced heat stress during the blob.
The blob.
The blob.
The blob.
The what? From 2014 to 2016, a persistent mass of unusually warm waters in the northern Pacific Ocean, nicknamed the blob, broke records. The blob's warm waters amplified a record-strength El Niño, creating sea surface temperatures that were fatal for our coral. Most corals get stressed out, or bleached like this, in water that is 1 degree warmer than average summertime water temperatures, which they are used to. During this marine heat wave, the main Hawaiian Islands experienced temperatures that were about 2 degrees higher. We can also understand how this impacts corals through degree heating weeks. Scientists add up the sea surface temperature for every week for 3 months if those weekly temperatures were above the threshold where corals become stressed and start bleaching. If the sum of the temperatures during this 3-month period is 0 degrees, there is no stress. If it is 4, we can expect a lot of bleaching. If it is 8, we can expect widespread bleaching and mortality, or death. In 2015, at the main Hawaiian Islands, the degree heating week value was 12. A third of all of the main Hawaiian Islands' corals had died, but some of the survivors at the Olowalu Reef have a special story to tell. Before we dive in, let's identify some of the main species of coral we can find here at the Olowalu Reef. Have you seen these before? Many corals have common names that relate to their shape and size. Let's take a closer look at each. Cauliflower coral is the most sensitive to heat. While the size for corals are variable and depend on their life cycle, most cauliflower corals can grow to the size of a basketball. Lobe coral is fairly sensitive to heat and can vary in size as well. Most lobe corals are the size of a grapefruit or basketball, but some can grow to be as big as a small house. Rice coral is the least sensitive to heat, but also has the most variable or irregular response. Rice coral can grow to be the size of a platter or wedding cake. As we swim through this digitized version of the Olowalu Reef, we will explore the different ways the coral here responded to these extremely warm conditions. Together, let's listen to their story and think about how we can work to protect coral reefs in the face of climate change and extreme events that have become more common. First, take a look at this healthy cauliflower coral as it goes through changes that lead to an unfortunate ending. In 2015, sea temperatures were 2 degrees higher than normal, leading to this bleaching event. Bleaching? You mean corals get cleaned? No, not quite. Remember how corals depend on tiny microscopic algae in their cells called zooxanthellae. Zooxanthellae and coral have a symbiotic relationship. This relationship can break down when corals become stressed, especially by rising sea temperatures. Corals will expel their zooxanthellae from their tissues. Without the zooxanthellae, corals lose their primary source of energy and color. The coral appears bright white or bleached. The bleached coral is still alive, But if the temperature stressors continue over a long period of time or become too harsh, the coral will die and sometimes become covered in algae. By 2016, this cauliflower coral has died. Let's take a look at different corals, where one had a unique response. At this time, the lobe corals we see here were alive. We also see another cauliflower coral. As we just saw, in 2015, a coral bleaching event was occurring. Can you tell which are bleached? This cauliflower coral and this lobe coral are a stark white. The brownish edges of this lobe coral are beginning to die. This lobe coral, which is the same species undergoing the same heat stress, is alive. When coral colonies of the same species or type experience the same stress but have a different reaction, we can call this differential resilience. Resilience means that the coral can resist and recover from the disturbance. Pause the video now to think about why this might happen. Resilience among corals can happen for a lot of different reasons, and not only just one. Sometimes it is because corals have different genes and traits that work to their advantage. Sometimes it is because different types of zooxanthellae live in the coral too. Other times it is because the coral might be prepared. Think of it like this. Let's say every week you surf a bunch of small waves. With practice, you become stronger. One day, when a giant wave comes along, you are prepared to take it on. Some corals have experience facing small heat waves that are short or not as extreme, so when a big one like the blob comes, they are ready. Since the start of the bleaching event, water temperatures in this region have cooled back down roughly 2 degrees. Our resilient lobe coral neither bleached nor died. This lobe coral experienced partial mortality. Certain parts died, but the colony as an individual organism survived. This cauliflower coral has died. Let's explore another part of the reef. These were 2 healthy live rice corals living side by side. Again, as temperatures rose, this coral bleached, but this coral didn't. This is an example of differential resilience. Almost a year later, we see green or gray areas where the corals have died, but we also see tan and orange where these 2 separate corals recovered and actually fused together. Our oceans are getting warmer and more stressful for coral, which is why we need tools like this digital reef to study our corals as well and as quickly as we can. That way, we can continue to learn about differential resilience, or how different corals respond to heat stress, so that we can find ways to restore our corals and create resilient reefs.